Hello guys, welcome back to VP Reaction. I'm Peter.
I'm Vicky.
Welcome on today's another Elton tour.
Yes.
On our BBC. If you have been following, we are on our fourth now.
Part 4, yeah.
Part 4, yeah. We're on our fourth part or part 4 of
the making of Eltonjohn.
Yeah, the making of Eltonjohn. It's a BBC documentary.
Yes.
So welcome here this again, as the other one has been shared by Dan. So Dan, thank you for making this happen here. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Vibe with us to the end.
And don't forget to subscribe if you're an Eltonjohn fan or you just love what we do. Feel free to subscribe. Remember also, you stand a chance to request your favorite. Just like then, you can request any of your favorites, be it a song, a documentary, a movie, an interview, comedy, all that we do here. We do each and everything. So you can share your recommendation via our Buy Me Coffee link below in the description so that you can get a chance to watch with you. Also, you can join our Patreon community with like our second family. We post their movies and other videos. So join to catch up with everything that we do here.
Exactly.
And the link is on the description as well. So let's continue.
Let's go.
Problems do come later on when you've had a bit of success for a long while, and then all of a sudden you get used and you get tired, and because it's a bit of a treadmill.
I want you to sing it really loudly. There's 88,000 of you. You'll make much noise and we can on stage. Come on now. Now to 4. 1, 2, 3.
There was a price. The price, although I had a house and I bought art, I learned about art. I mean, God knows when I slept, but it didn't take a toll at all until I started maybe dabbling with drugs. And I didn't really start dabbling with drugs seriously until 73, 74.
Okay, remember, the first time we heard about Elton doing drugs is that he noticed that he played the piano on a certain gig on a club till 7:30 in the morning. Then that's when they told him that last night we gave you cocaine.
We put some cocaine in your food, and we forgot to tell you.
It's really the calendars we forgot to tell you. So he's now doing drugs.
Yeah.
And he said he started by doubling it. That's when
it was 73 or 70.
I've taken it a little bit back. He says that he started by doubling it, something like that.
I mean, God knows when I slept, but it didn't take a toll at all until I started maybe dabbling with drugs. And I didn't really start dabbling with drugs seriously until 73, 74. The cocaine crept in. I was quite surprised at how quickly it came to be a part of the landscape.
I think at the moment he's now in the Eltonjohn band.
Yeah.
Because the band started in the 70s. I think after we watched the other episode, Dan told us that in the 60s, I think he quit the Bluesology band in the 67.
Yeah.
And then after that, he met Barney, and then he changed his name to Eltonjohn. He changed the name Elton after quitting Bluesology. He was not yet on the Bluesology when he was called Elton. He changed it later, and then after quitting Bluesology, he met Barney, went into some solo career for a little bit, and then in the 70s, he now formed the band Eltonjohn, starting with Nigel, I think, and
Danny, and
Danny.
Yeah, that's the crew that flew to US, to Los Angeles.
Yes. The other time we were asking like which band is this? It was already the Eltonjohn band.
When they were in Los Angeles for the first time, they got there as a band, Eltonjohn band, and now that's the band that introduced him to the drug, and now the drugs are in the landscape. That's where we have.
Yeah, in the 73, 74 there. Yeah.
When you become that big, that fast, you stop listening to criticism, and you stop listening to the people who may have been around you at the beginning who could tell it to you straight. And that's when you start to lose your friends.
In April 1975, Elton sacked the bassist and drummer who had backed him since the beginning.
It was a rage of egomania. Elton has come to believe his press clippings. He's convinced he's the most powerful and almighty performer in the history of rock. He feels he doesn't need anybody.
A few months later, complete with new band, Elton returned to play the city that made him a star and received the full Hollywood welcome.
I now want to present a proclamation which declares this week Eltonjohn Week.
The venue he'd sold.
What week was that?
Like the Elton John's week. Wow.
Which year was that? 73 or what? And then
No, 75.
75.
Yeah,
Wow,
they mentioned
how did you
75.
guys engage in that week? Was you just listening to Elton John, or was it
I
like?
think listening to his songs, albums.
Give us the date. We can dedicate that for him.
Sold out for 2 nights that week was a far cry from the cosy Troubadour Club he'd played 5 years earlier.
John Reid told me I've got to get over to LA to shoot this gig because it's the biggest outdoor gig ever.
The first time that they'd reopened Dodger Stadium to be used for rock concerts since 1966, when they'd shut it down at a Beatles concert. So this is a historic event for the city of Los Angeles, you know. I mean, everybody you can think of just showed
So they
up.
had shut
The stadium.
the stadium in the 1966, and now Elton is here to open it.
Yeah,
Like-
and it was shot with the Beatles.
Yeah. Now it's here to open. Okay, interesting.
You know, Cary Grant's walking around backstage, you know, with his grandson. It's like, whoa! Every celebrity under the sun was there. It was like, this is just off the charts.
There was a carnival atmosphere in the Elton camp. The star himself was putting on a brave face, but underneath, his personal life and particularly his relationship with his manager and partner John Reid was in turmoil.
It's very hard to maintain a lifestyle when you travel so much, where you're away from people so much. You take hostages, you take them on the road with you, and then they hate you, and it all ends in tears. And any relationship that you bring drugs and drink into, or drugs especially, is doomed to failure.
There was media coming around and wanting to do interviews with him, and cameras and fans lined up, and it was a trailer, and then he went there by himself and sat in that trailer rather than talk to people and shake hands with people and all that kind of stuff. I thought he was handling it all really well, but beneath that, you didn't realize kind of the darker side of what was happening.
Okay, what happened there?
You run away with this thing and you enjoy life. I don't stop touring, I don't make a record. But then at the end of the day, what have you got in your life? You go home to an empty house. You go home and then you're in an empty house, so you get a lot of people down, you do drugs, and is that fun? Not after a while, it isn't, no.
But I've not heard him mention maybe his marriage life, kids, and all that. Did he ever married? Did he have kids or something? You can comment down.
Yeah.
The night before the show, as his family and friends were gathered at his LA home, Elton attempted suicide, taking an overdose of pills.
What?
We didn't know. We were up all night. I mean, everybody. It was a very emotional time, and his mum and his grandma was over there at the time. He brought them over to see this gig, and that was a touch and go time,
He never showed it on stage. That expression, the show must go on, he got on stage, you would never have known he was depressed or anything. He was a wonderful performer.
Sign up with you. I'm not a present for your friends to open. This boy's too young to be singing the blues.
And the way he's hitting is it cricket? The ball, can it hurt anyone? I see him hitting, is it cricket or what?
Maybe it's not that, it's not like a
Yeah, even the way it's
something.
not like golf. The way it's being played, I'm seeing it like when you hit it, somebody cuts it.
Oh, yeah.
The parallel highs and lows of 1975 marked the end of an era for the 28-year-old Elton. In just 5 years, he'd gone from shy and retiring Reg to the Rocket Man, the biggest pop star in the world. Elton would never quite match the creative streak of those first 5 years, but he and Bernie could still write it.
Since the day you were...
What an interesting story. So, like Elton band ended, something like that.
Let's see what happened in
Breaking
the...
my heart. I couldn't if I tried.
1976 brought them their first ever UK number one.
I'm certainly proud of our back catalogue. We made a lot of crap too. You know, there are things that I find that are sort of fluff in our canon, you know. I mean, things like Don't Go Breaking My Heart. But they all served a purpose at the time. But do I sit around listening to them? No.
I think at that time he did lose sight of his own talent and his own energy, because the energy was fueled by drugs. And it's a different energy. It's not your energy anymore, it's a substance energy.
I took a lot of coke and I still worked. I didn't stay at home taking a lot of coke. I still went out there and played and made records. I wasn't on drugs all the time, but there were certainly records that I made where I was on drugs. And I wrote on drugs. And you tend to think what you've written is much better than it actually is.
The hits were more occasional now, but the go-getting 80s suited Elton's new image as a survivor. In 1984, Elton took his team, Watford FC, to the Cup final and surprised many by getting married to Renate Blauer, a German sound engineer he'd met the previous year. Having come out as bisexual in the 70s, Elton was no stranger to speculation about his sexuality, and by 1987 he became the tabloid's #1 target.
I mean, he went through a lot of upheavals with the tabloids. It got very unpleasant.
Elton sued The Sun and cleared his name, but had yet to win the battle with his own demons.
What happened there?
I'm not getting it well. Something happened, he sued, he won.
Yeah.
You could see the road that he was on, and I could see it. His mood swings were pretty drastic. He went very Judy Garland on us.
Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew it all, I've had the grace to hold yourself. Those around.
I was very confused, pretty down on drugs, and you know, you can't think straight when you're doing that amount of drugs. There's got to be a balance. When I, became an addict and an alcoholic, and I went to rehab, blah blah blah. One of the things that was pointed out is that my whole life was Elton John. There was no other person in it.
Seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set.
When I met David 3 years after I got sober, when I was 46, I was ready to have a relationship. And I wasn't looking for it, but I was ready to have a relationship. And I was grown up then. I didn't grow up till I was 43.
Sober and settled with his new partner, Elton explored new avenues as a musician and ways to put his celebrity to good use.
Whether selling off part of his extravagant wardrobe or singing before invited and extremely rich guests, Sir Elton's AIDS Foundation has raised £25 million since it was set up a decade ago.
Elton's dramatic journey, played out in the eye of the British public, left him strangely qualified for the role of the nation's agony aunt in 1997.
Goodbye, England's rose. May you ever grow in our hearts. You were the grace that placed.
Candle in the Wind seemed the perfect epitaph for Diana, but written in 1973 about Marilyn Monroe, An icon, hounded by the press, a life
You
cut short
remember
in its
that
prime. Its story could easily also have been Elton's. Instead, as the soundtrack to England's tears, it completed his redemption. Sir Elton, a national treasure.
And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to know you, but I was just a kid. The candle burned out long before the legend ever did.
And I've made a lot of records in my time, and the last few records I made have all been really, really good records. But they've always been with the same band. They've been my band. So they've all sounded fairly similar. And I thought I've got to approach making records differently. I've got to make a record when I want to make a record and not just for the sake of it. And when I make a record, I want it to sound different.
I've been so many places in my life and time.
Last year, a voice from his past inspired Elton's new musical direction.
David's playing Leon Russell on the iPod, and I'm getting ready for lunch, and it came in and I'm crying, sobbing, and he said, "What on earth is the matter with you?" And I said, "This just takes me back to the most wonderful period of my life." I don't know what it was, whether I suddenly had a touch of mortality ringing in my ears, I don't know. But it brought back so many great memories, and I said, you know, to go forward in my career as a recording artist, I've got to go back. I've got to revisit what I did.
Having lost contact soon after they first met, Elton tracked down Leon to make him an offer.
And he called up and said, let's just do a duet album together and write some songs for that. And I said, what kind of songs do you want me to write? And he said, up-tempo, baby.
Elton then drafted in the first choice producer for any band in search of an authentic American sound.
I thought, well, we'll probably do something like Tumbleweed Connection because, you know, that's something I can relate to and he can relate to and Bernie Taupin could relate to and Leon could relate to. You know, it was a touchstone for all of us. But it ended up being a, you know, flat-out gospel record.
I went out to the piano and started writing a song, and Leon came out and started playing with me. So that's the first time we actually played together. And everyone's face lit up. We knew this was going to work. The combination of the two pianos and his voice and mine, it was fantastic.
Oh, which song is that?
Yeah.
And what of Elton's search for his roots, for his own true spirit as a musician beyond his celebrity status?
He wanted to reconnect with Leon, and he wanted to reconnect, and I think he wanted to reconnect with that part of himself. You know? I think this record's probably closer to him than anything he's ever done. He's not putting on any fine jackets, and he's not putting on any flashy glasses, you know.
It's stripping it of all the trinkets and trappings that have tampered with our musical heritage in the past, you know, and I think he's come full circle. Hallelujah.
In reuniting with Leon Russell, Elton has also reached out to the man he was when they first met in 1970. Before the hits, before the money, the drugs and the fame. And who knows where music will take him next.
I really like that.
Amen and amen.
What keeps me going is also the unknown. The unknown that comes into your life that changes your life. Like the Liberty Records thing with Bernie's lyrics. Like going to the Troubadour. Like David putting Leon on his iPod. The wonderful little surprises you get from life. You know, there's always something great around the corner. And without music, my life would be nothing. It's given me everything in my life. It's nearly taken away everything as well, but it's given me everything.
I think that is it.
It's over now.
Yeah, it's over. But they didn't tell us. The Elton John band did end.
I think it ended in when you said 1975. Because there was a time.
Yeah.
we've ever done like his documentary or something. It talked about I think there was a time he was in solo. So, or was he just in solo when he began?
Yeah, he began solo, then he formed a band. Yeah, and he's still there. He's 79 years old right now. Yeah, as we speak.
Like the band. The video talks about like it's because at the end time, like he didn't talk too much about the band. Like from 75 when he experienced like he was in depression at the time. He almost committed suicide. Then at the 80s, he just talked about his marriage with, I don't know, Brian or something. And then his addiction to cocaine. Or maybe the band just remained like it didn't end.
Yeah, the main information I'm getting from Google is that Elton John stopped touring in the year 2023. His farewell tour ended.
Oh.
He was doing a farewell tour, but he still makes music and appear occasionally.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe the band just is still there. Maybe
Still
they
there.
still play because actually
if
it
they
was
did a
an
farewell
instrumental
band for him, but just a backup,
so they
like
still play.
if he's still there, he's still the band is there. He can reignite it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if he did the farewell tour in the year 2023, just 3 years ago, I think I'd been being in 70s. That I think he did when he was 75 there. I think he did a good retirement in music.
Yes, he served a lot, because 75, he's again tired, protecting your voice and all that, so you don't have that energy like when you are still starting and all that.
So he's one of the few iconic that we still have.
Yeah. But you guys also can tell us like how did he go about his drug addiction? Did he fight it at some point? Did he leave it, or because the moment it just stopped? Maybe we did not get a clear like did he stop it or something? He tried going to the rehabs and all that.
He said even alcohol chipped in.
Yes.
Yeah, so it became a bit worse. But thank you, Dan, for this. Guys, you can add any information that was left behind on this documentary, on any that might be corrected. We stand corrected here. Don't forget to like it and subscribe here.
Yeah, this was really helpful. Like we've learned a lot knowing all his journey and all that. So thank you so much, everyone who has been part of this amazing documentary. Thank you so much, Dan, for sharing it from part 1 to part 4.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon.
We out.
Bye.